60 feet of serpent, head and shoulders raised 4 feet above the water, cutting through the South Atlantic in broad daylight, 300 miles from the nearest land. That's what the captain of a British warship wrote in his official report to the Royal Navy in 1848. Not a fisherman's tall tale embellished at the docks. A trained naval officer, 20 full minutes of clear observation at 200 yards, 7 crew members backing him up, all of it filed with the Admiralty. Sea monsters. Not just one legend, all of them. What if every story like his, every culture, every century, was describing something real? Not one creature, a whole family of them, hiding in plain sight. Let's find out! Here's what should make you pause. Norse sailors feared a serpent so massive it circled the entire world. Greek sailors feared a 6-headed horror guarding one side of a narrow strait and a whirlpool guarding the other, in waters real ships still cross today. The Old Testament describes an untamable sea beast called Leviathan, powerful enough to make the depths boil behind it. Japanese fishermen watched for a silver messenger rising up from the sea god's palace. Different oceans, different centuries, nobody comparing notes. And somehow, cultures that never met kept giving that same rough shape its own name, its own temple, its own reason to fear the water. Start with the messenger. The oarfish can grow past 30 feet, with a blood-red crest running the entire length of its spine, and no scales at all, just shimmering, mirror-bright skin. Swimming, it ripples like a ribbon, which is exactly what a panicked sailor would call a serpent. It lives thousands of feet down in near-total darkness, and it almost never surfaces alive. In Japan, it's called Ryugu no Tsukai, the messenger fish. Legend says it rises to warn of earthquakes before they strike. In the months before the 2011 Tohoku disaster, roughly 20 of them reportedly washed ashore. Scientists still call the connection unproven, maybe coincidence. That's still an uncomfortable coincidence to shrug off. Now go back to that warship. Modern researchers re-examined the 1848 sightings using sketches the crew made at the time. Their best guess today isn't a serpent at all. It's a sei whale, close to 60 feet long, skimming the surface with its mouth wide open, at almost exactly the speed the officers reported. A real, enormous animal, misread as a monster, because nobody got more than 200 yards and 20 minutes to be certain of what they'd actually seen. That gap between a glimpse and an identification didn't just create campfire stories. It redrew actual maps. In 1539, a Swedish priest named Olaus Magnus spent 12 years building the most detailed chart of Scandinavia anyone had ever made, then filled the entire Norwegian Sea with monsters, coiling serpents, horned whales, beasts swallowing full-sized ships whole. Historians now think some of those creatures doubled as warning labels for genuinely dangerous water, not just decoration. For generations, sailors planned entire routes around drawings of animals nobody had ever actually caught. So maybe every sighting has a mundane explanation. A whale, a giant squid, a fish with an unlucky name and terrible timing. Except the ocean keeps proving that mundane undersells it. In 1976, a U.S. Navy ship off Hawaii hauled up its sea anchor and found a 15-foot, 1,600-pound shark tangled in the ropes. It wasn't just a new species, it belonged to no known family of shark on record. Scientists had to invent an entirely new family just to have somewhere to file it, and it took until 1983 to even finish describing it properly. That's not an ancient legend passed down for centuries. That happened within living memory, by accident, on a routine mission that had nothing to do with looking for monsters at all. Humans have mapped a tiny fraction of the ocean floor. We keep bumping into things that size, and calling it a surprise every single time. Trivia time! For centuries, giant squid were known mainly from dead specimens and stories. Scientists did not capture the first photographs of a living giant squid in its natural habitat until 2004. Then, in 2012, researchers filmed a giant squid alive in the deep ocean. So humans had legends about enormous tentacled animals long before we managed to watch one living naturally underwater. And giant squid are not tiny. Some estimates put females at around 13 meters in total length. That is roughly the length of a bus. So no, the kraken is not proven real. But the ocean did apparently look at giant squid and decide, that should be enough nightmare material. So maybe the kraken was never real, and the serpent was only ever a whale, or a fish having a very bad day. But something out there is still large enough and rare enough to spark a brand new legend from scratch, right now, without asking anyone's permission first. The next unexplained shape breaking the surface might not be folklore at all. It might not even need a myth to explain it. It might just be something nobody has caught yet. Something with its own name, still waiting to be written down.